Do I have to, or did somebody do?
Switch is already.
Okay. Shall we do the pledge of allegiance? Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
You actually need to call the meeting to order.
I call the meeting to order.
Nope.
Huh?
Let's say who you are and all that.
Oh. Okay. Dave.
That wasn't in the bylaws.
All right. This is the Ware Parks and Rec Commission meeting. I'm Denise Purington, the chair.
Dave Lundin, the vice chair.
Matthew Beeler, secretary.
And James Furry as the dealer, no, as the ex officio.
All right. Full agenda, but I'm going to try to get us through this as quickly as we can. You have packets in front of you. I am going to make one amendment to the agenda, and that is to address the questions sent to us from the Board of Selectmen last night. Their meeting last night, they had some questions on our request for the lawn care contract, and so we're going to address them tonight. They're in your packets, so we will put that on the agenda. Any other modifications that anybody wants to add?
No, I have little things I can toss in other conversations. So.
Okay. So public comment. Did you guys sign in by? No. If you would please, and then when you come up, is the mic on up there? Oh, just state your names and,
Your name and address?
yeah, I think name and address.
I believe that's procedure.
I guess I better get a list of procedures.
Name, address, social security number.
Feel free to leave a credit card number with me. So if you could give us your name and your
Yep.
address, that'd be great.
Sure. Debbie Conant, 270 Tiffany Hill Road. We were here prior to about the tree lighting ceremony. So I did put a post out and we got a lot of good response.
Oh, good.
We have, so far, we don't have anything, we don't have all the material stuff just yet, but we have people who have signed up. So far, we have 6 sets of white lights, which I believe was the total number that we needed. 3 sets of colored lights. We have 10 large bows,
Nice.
red bows. We have, I put in 50 decorations, and we have 50.
Okay.
So I'm not really sure what I know some of them are ribbons, but I'm not sure what the rest of them are. We also have a tree topper. Again, I don't know what that is either. And we have at least, let me see, 1, 2, 3, at least 6 to 8 people who were willing to so far help decorate
Great.
on that day. We also got Tatum Tredell, I think was her name. She's donating a hot chocolate station.
Oh, nice.
Yes,
Oh,
so
great.
she's bringing all the cups for that as well. And,
And is that on the day we decorate? Okay.
no, the day of the
Lighting.
the
Okay.
lighting, yes.
Yes.
And then the Sweet Spot is donating, and so Tatum and the Sweet Spot, it's going to be a donation to the rec department, and the Sweet Spot is donating 100 sugar cookies decorated with Santa and Christmas trees.
Great.
And the only thing we don't have is like tables, music,
And
speaker.
I think we can work on those.
But I think, unless you guys, I think that's,
I can bring us some of our scout tables to use for.
Yeah, I think we can work on those. So just for the sake of the community listening and some of the board members, because we did talk about this a little bit, but I have updates since we met last.
Okay.
So, first of all, Debbie, thank you so much
Oh,
for
you're welcome.
what you've done to spearhead this, because it is just amazing, and I think it's going to be a great event, 2 events, actually, and I really hope it becomes a
annual.
annual thing. And I think we're going to work hard this year to get the decorations down as quickly as possible and get them in storage so we can reuse some of them.
Sure.
we had some vandalism last year. I think they stayed up too long and, we had vandalism, so that's why we kind of lost everything.
Sure.
So you and I have talked a little bit. The plan, the commission agreed to was that, as usual, on the Saturday after Thanksgiving, we will do the tree decorating. We haven't confirmed a time. It's on the agenda, but we can move all that up right now.
Okay.
So we'll have to look at the time on that. I will be contacting Mr. Towns and his wife. They've donated the tree.
Oh, yes.
See if we can have the tree there a day or two in advance. Well, 2 days would be Thanksgiving, so either the Wednesday or the Friday. I have reached out to a couple of people. So there are eye hooks that are installed in the gazebo floor or have been in the past to hold the tree down.
Okay.
And they're not there. I thought they were left there, and when I was there this weekend, they're not there, so we're hoping the person who installed them last year is gonna go back and install them, because it gets quite windy.
Oh.
And the one thing that we've had issues with in the past is the topper staying on the tree. If we have to tie it from the top also, then we will have to just be able to adjust around that. And then I have been in touch with the fire department, so they are doing a parade, a Santa Claus parade. They haven't picked the date yet, but the gentleman I spoke to, Trevor, was asking about either Saturday, December 14th, or Sunday, December 15th. He's supposed to get back to me with a confirmation as to whether it would be Saturday or Sunday, but we're hoping it's going to be Saturday.
Okay.
I didn't realize this, but the parade lasts about 4 hours.
Yeah, they go all over
whole
town, they go
town.
all over the town, the
Yeah.
fire department, and yeah, like,
It's pretty long.
I
they
didn't
go all
realize.
over the place.
So just an
Yeah.
FYI, the American Legion and the PTO are doing a Christmas party at the Legion Hall with a visit from a representative of the holidays
Yeah.
on the 14th.
We're gonna probably end up crossing over.
I'm just-
It's, the fire department, we're going off their schedule.
Of course.
They have, training going on the 7th and 8th,
Mm-hmm.
so they cannot do it. Waiting till the 21st is way too late.
Yeah, way too close, absolutely.
When I talked to them, what we talked about is them staging their parade so that it would end at the gazebo right around, say, like 4, when it's starting to get dark, so that the lighting of the
Perfect.
tree
Yeah.
would have a little bit of a, whatever.
We usually do the Santa parade at night.
Yeah.
The fire department usually does it at night, because they usually decorate
Yeah,
all
they come
the
through at
vehicles
night. They
and
wait
everything.
till dusk and
Well,
then.
or
go
they
through.
could do it, flip it and start at 4 at the gazebo and then go from there. We're trying to coordinate the two
Of
together.
course, yeah.
So I would just say to the commission members, just keep the 14th and 15th as a tentative hold. If he doesn't get back to me, I will reach out to him
Okay.
again. But, so that's what we're looking at. So the decoration this Saturday after, I don't know, what do commission members feel about a time? Is there a particular time on the day, on
So
that
I'm
day?
just thinking, I mean, preferably we do it at night, right? Or as close to night as possible.
Not
for it to-
decorating, because we're
Oh,
not.
not
No, the
decorating. I'm
decorating.
sorry.
Yeah,
I'm not.
this is,
100%
no, that's
I
okay. And I will just tell you, from past experience, depending on the weather, it can be windy and cold.
Yeah. Right.
So we don't want to, probably do it at 8 o'clock in the morning, but we probably don't want to do it at 4 either. So somewhere between 10 and, I'd say 1 is good, only because the sun's out, and at least we get a little bit of warmth from that. In the past, there's generally been 3 of us there, and it's taken maybe an hour, hour and a half, so it's, if we indeed do have 6 to 8 people to help us, it should go pretty quickly. we could have one group of folks working on the lights while others are putting up the bows and decorating the tree, so,
Okay.
I don't know, what do you guys think, what does everybody think on time of the day?
I think you're about on with midday, if not very early afternoon. It's gonna be the warmest time of the
Yeah.
day is around 12 to 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock.
So do we want to say Saturday around 12, or do we want to go a little earlier? 11, or?
If you're gonna do it the 7th,
No, this is
The
the
30th?
30th. It's the Saturday after
Just after
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
12 to 2-ish, I think, maybe.
okay.
So have them show up at 12?
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
great.
Okay.
But, yeah, so that would work for, and that would be the 30th, providing it's not pouring rain.
Right.
Yeah.
Then we'd have to maybe defer it to Sunday.
Rain date to the 1st if we need to.
Okay.
I don't think we want to go too much later, only because I think people enjoy seeing the gazebo decorated
do,
for,
yeah, it's
a month,
beautiful.
yeah.
A couple of things I forgot to say. We didn't get greenery for around the gazebo.
Okay.
So, and I'm not very crafty, so I can't help you with that.
So what we've done in the past, I've just gone out in the woods and cut the boughs and brought them. So we could, we can do that if we need to.
Okay.
Last year we didn't do it. Again, we have, with the wind,
Oh, yeah.
so
And
sometimes.
it's been very windy.
Yeah, so last year we just tied the bows.
Okay.
And that looked really nice. So, and I think with more decorations, one of the things we'll have to look at is how do we secure the decorations so they withstand the wind
Right.
as we're decorating? But if we have other decorations, then we might not need the greenery.
Okay.
So, but I think we can make that work one way or the other.
Okay. I don't want to take up too much time, but the one last thing is that, I know that that date is still up in the air, but just to give the people who are donating, like the
Yeah.
hot chocolate and
Yeah.
the cookies, enough time to,
Yeah.
get them made.
Right.
Set up and whatnot.
So I will try Monday or Tuesday.
Okay.
Well, let's
I
see,
know.
today is Monday.
Today's
I'll
Tuesday.
try by Friday to reach out to him again
Okay.
if I haven't heard from him.
Okay. I know it's
And-
difficult.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and let him know that we're just really needing.
Okay.
If for some reason, I guess worst case scenario, we still do it. And we just might not coordinate it with the parade.
Sure. Sure. And
If that
that's-
was
I
the
mean,
case and we have the opportunity to move it up to the 7th, if people thought lighting the tree a week earlier would be nice for the community.
I'd almost do it. Of course, it's, I'd almost do it I would almost do it, because Thanksgiving is so late this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. My people are still gonna be
People
out
are
of town
coming
on
in
the
back,
1st.
back home from Ting, but, maybe whether we light it and then turn it back off and then relight it, so at least it's up and running, starting the Saturday after Thanksgiving, so it'll be on for the whole month, but
Well,
having it sitting there dark for a week may not be the
I
best.
think we kind of talked about that at the last meeting and kind of felt like it would be nice to just wait until we have, because so many community members
Okay.
want to come out and do
I
it.
wasn't
yeah.
here at the last meeting, so.
So I think if everybody's okay with it, I'll check with the fire department. We'll get a point at which I'll have to say, we're gonna just have to do it.
Right.
And then we'll either shoot for the 7th or the 14th.
Okay.
If the fire department, for some reason, decides they're not gonna do it the weekend of the 14th and it's gonna be any later, I may even recommend that we move it up to the 7th.
Okay.
And that would give us another week of having the tree lit.
That could change, like,
Oh,
some
okay.
of the, like, on the hot chocolate donation, because we were sort of playing around, we said it might be the 14th or the 15th.
Okay, so we
it-
better to
again,
stick
it's-
with the
It's
14th?
still, everything's very fluid right
Okay.
now, so,
Can you email more details of what the Legion's doing? Do you have a time?
My wife's running it, so.
Yeah,
you'll be in trouble.
yeah. At least we'd have a time. So you're saying it would be better to stick with the 14th?
So it doesn't matter, but, we can reach out to the
Okay.
other two and see, if we change it to the 7th, could you accommodate that?
All right.
The last question I had is, will this be posted anywhere?
Yeah,
Because I know
so-
not everyone's on that group.
Right, so my hope was that we would be able to post it on our Facebook
Perfect.
page, on the town webpage, and then, if, you know, you could post it on the We Are Where, the one that you're doing, so that should cover there. I could even, when we did the senior holiday and the summer barbecue, we created just some quick little posters
Okay.
that we put up at the post office,
Nice.
at the bank,
Yep.
here in the town office.
Library. we should-
Yeah, I think
Library,
that
yeah.
suffice, yeah.
Yeah, so I can put together a quick little, once we have the dates, I can put together just a quick little flyers that we can put up around town also.
Okay, perfect.
So we could really communicate what's going on.
And we're hoping that if this goes off well, that we can sort of build.
Yeah, that'd be great.
course.
It
Yeah,
goes
we're still
on.
waiting to hear back
So,
from, two places still about donations anyway.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I can keep you in the loop and stuff,
Yeah,
but if
so
there's
you and
anything
I-
you think
yep,
that we need, anything more from us do you need, or?
no, I think this is great.
Okay.
Done awesome
Very,
work.
it's amazing, because I had come tonight with a list of things we might have to buy, and I think you pretty much checked off
It's a
everything.
great
so-
community. I
yeah.
mean, they really
Yeah.
came up to the plate here, and it's just,
And why don't you and I can stay in touch as far as confirming at the end what we have?
Mm-hmm.
And if you need me to, if you need to drop them off somewhere, you and I can meet up and do that.
Perfect.
Yeah,
okay.
sounds good.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, thank you both.
Thank you.
All right, so just to kind of pull this all together, so we have it in our calendars, we're looking at Saturday, November 30th, from 12 to 2, to do the decoration of the gazebo. And then we are looking at December 14th, approximately around 4 o'clock, probably starting maybe a little bit earlier, like 3:30, depending on what you tell me, to do the lighting of the tree. That would give people time to get there, grab a hot chocolate, maybe do a few little carols.
So the Legion event, the Legion PTO Christmas, I think they're calling it a bazaar, but I could be wrong. My wife might text me and correct me. That is gonna end at 3.
And at 3, all right, well,
So we could
We could-
potentially do like 4:30, catch like that dusk. And,
or we could say to start at 3, come get hot chocolate, listen to music, so they don't go home.
yeah,
And then with a timing of around dusk to light the tree.
yeah, we could do that, yeah.
How's that sound?
I think
If we
that-
said approximately started at 3 PM, how's that sound, Dave? Okay. That work for everybody? All right, so what I'll do is
Before we cement that, let me talk to them
Okay.
and see if they have any
Okay.
pushback with their representative.
Okay.
Potentially crossing with ours, or
Okay.
the fire stations.
And if the fire department picks another date that potentially is later out or midweek, I think we just go with it, and we might not have an opportunity to have Santa there, but
Yeah.
we'll have fun anyways. Okay, so I will, if you guys are all right with it, I'll continue to stay in. Deb and I have been texting back and forth just to try to confirm dates and make sure she has everything that she needs. All right,
Okay.
sounds good. Anything else on that?
I just want, we don't have to address it this moment, but can you and Deb come up with a plan for storage of everything for when this is done?
Yeah, so my thought was we'll purchase a large Rubbermaid. And I think we should look at using we just installed a new lock on the Inison pump house.
Okay.
So I think there would be room in there for that. The reason I'm not suggesting Bolton is right now Bolton is pretty full. So that was my thought.
Okay.
And that we would, maybe at our December meeting, we would agree to a date that we would all meet in January and take the decorations down.
Okay.
I think what happened last year is they stayed into the summer. And it just, the decorations came down, but the lights did not.
Yeah,
and they all got cut. So I think we, in addition to taking the decorations down, we just have to make sure we get the lights down also.
It makes so much sense to couple it.
But I think getting them in a storage, Rubbermaid or something in a shed, then because we've had some challenges year after year, figuring out what we did with them, and some of them we do have to dispose of them because they take a beating in the wind and like the bows don't really, the bows don't really stand out more than a year, but the
Yeah.
lights should last us year after year, so. All right,
thank
so
you.
if you guys are fine with that, we'll vote later on, probably in December or January, just to spend money to purchase a bin, and we'll use the Inison Field shed. All right, so, review of minutes, so just so everybody is aware, the minute taker for the town has resigned. They're in the process of looking for a new minute taker, so we've got some challenges with past minutes, not 100% complete. Do you have any updates?
We do, we just made an offer, or we voted to make an offer last night.
Okay.
To a new minute taker.
Okay,
So,
perfect.
in theory, going forward, new ones new minutes will be
Okay.
provided by the new person, but all our past ones are still gonna have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
catch up to speed.
So in front of us, I gave you each a copy of the September minutes. I don't know if we just want to pause for just a second and take a real quick look at them.
I don't have this, oh, these ones? Okay.
Yep, yep. As we're looking at this too, we haven't gotten an update from football as to whether they're gonna do a storage unit, so I'm assuming that's not gonna happen before next spring.
They still have things they need to bring to us before we can approve that moving forward. I think.
I think there's a typo.
I just did that, but then I reread the sentence.
Yeah,
I think it needs to be corrected because it doesn't look right.
yeah.
It's-
So line 94, Dave, I think there's just a typo. I think it should be, to see it be spelt out whether the ex officio is a voting member. Or,
I
it may not be the word, but
yeah, I want
that's,
to redo,
Right.
amend that sentence. It's not reading properly. It'll take me 2 minutes. Something just looks off with it.
right, other than that,
Looks fine to me.
so
Has she
I,
not submitted an invoice? Are we not having to pay the minute taker out of our budget line?
I don't believe so.
so I know,
Okay.
It's a monthly stipend that is going towards the minute taker. Don't recall if it's coming out of everybody's individual.
so,
Because we have a $720 line, and that's why I was just kind of looking at the budget and kind of looking at the minutes going, We haven't got a bill for it, so are we?
So I know that Beth sent me a message when we were addressing the 2025 budget, that line item has been zeroed out, that it sounds like it's going to be covered by one general fund. So I'm kind of assuming that's what's been happening this year. So
Okay.
when we talk about the budget, I was gonna bring up that really was the only change that was made is, so it sounds like it's coming out of a different line item, a different budget, not ours.
So are we losing that 720?
We are for next year, yes.
That's fine. No,
Yep.
that's just,
Makes sense.
Yep. So, I think what I'm hearing is on line 94, and I'll read it, bylaws and job, so it was a discussion on the bylaws and job description. Chair Parrington said she would like to see, it reads here, and it's spelt wrong, spelt out whether the ex officio is a voting member or not. I think what I asked for is that it be, and I might have used the word spelt out, but that we clarify that that is a voting member in the document, so that 5 years from now, there's not another discussion and
To
so on.
see
So I would,
it
like, just.
clarified.
Yeah.
That the ex officio, no, clarified whether or not.
Right,
Okay, yeah, I will make that amendment.
all right, so do you want to just make a motion?
Yeah,
Because I think we have to have a motion to approve and whatever.
approve with
just-
amendments, yeah. Yeah, so I'll make a motion, to approve the minutes for the September 17, meeting with the noted amendment.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? And just that the noted amendment is we'll use the word,
We're going to amend it to say, like to see it clarified whether or not,
okay,
dot, dot, dot.
all right. So we have a motion on the floor, made by Matt to approve the minutes with, that correction, seconded by James. If no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed, abstain? Motion has it, the minutes of September 17th are approved. We don't have because of the loss of the minute taker work, we don't have the October minutes, but Matt is working on those. And Matt is going to be working with Naomi to make sure all of the changes that we had prior submitted based on approved minutes gets posted to the website. So with the approval of these minutes, the only minutes missing on the website, once those all get taken care of, will be October,
That's-
obviously, this meeting. And then we have the walkthrough minutes of July
Okay,
that I think you handed me
okay,
this. I didn't make a copy for
Okay.
everybody.
okay.
I think, I don't remember if at the
I
last
think
meeting,
everybody looked at it and was like, yeah, okay, it looks,
but I don't think we voted on it.
okay.
So we'll move this to the December meeting. I'll make sure everybody gets a copy.
Okay.
Because I can't remember if we
I,
made copies for everybody or not.
I don't
Okay.
recall, and I
All
don't
right.
think I noted it, so
Okay.
apologies on that.
Couple things, if you don't mind, that we could get through pretty quickly. I'll just jump ahead. I'm still kind of hoping that we'll have a couple people show up late, but I just want to let everybody know that I did get confirmation from Beth that, as we talked about at the last meeting, the ARPA funds for the playground ties had been rescinded, if you will, because of some shortfalls in other areas. She confirmed today that there is no more money left, so if we do want to purchase those, we will be doing so out of our budget. And we could talk about when we do that. Obviously, we don't need them for this winter, so we can either look at next month, what we have left, or do that purchase in the spring from the revolving. Just a quick question for the group on the gazebo. I mean, I think this is great. I had planned to ask everybody if we wanted to vote to put any money aside in case we had a last minute, we're missing something, need to go buy rope or whatever. I don't know what folks' thoughts are, if we wanted to approve $100, $200, just in case we get a day or two before, or do we want to just hope we have everything we need? I don't know what your thoughts are. I mean, I think
I would do
decoration
like
wise,
Yeah.
$150, $200, because does anybody even have, because I don't know if the anchors are, who did the anchors last
So-
year? They would have obviously gotten taken out because they would have been a tripping hazard.
Yeah.
yeah, so, Pam was able, I reached out to Lisa about the anchors, she couldn't remember. I did speak with Pam. When Pam let me know she wasn't gonna be able to make the meeting, I asked her about the anchors. She had indicated Janine and her husband had put those in. She reached out to them, it offered to put them back in again this year. I think they've done it 2 years in a row, so they know what they're doing. So it's my understanding, and I will touch base with them to confirm the date and time, but they're gonna come down and put the anchors back in the floor that we will be able to anchor the tree to. However, even doing that, we may, I don't know, Dave, maybe you do, whether we had it in a stand when we anchored it to the floor, or if we just anchored it with the butt of the tree on the floor. Again, we had lots of ropes to anchor it to the floor, and I think we did some off to the sides. So those are things we don't have, those are things that would have not been donated. If we were to find at the last minute, we needed a stand, or needed to run to get some rope or whatever, we'd have at least some funds approved to do that.
I'm in favor of having funds approved, better to plan to need than
Yeah.
plan to wing it. I also think that there should be some kind of stand, and that's just gonna give it extra support, period. Especially being outside, it was sadly entertaining with all of the posts last year of watching the tree go down, the garland go down, I don't wanna see that again, so.
Yeah. All right, so then because I don't think that's part of the donations, I think we probably, what I can do is try to coordinate with the towns as what we think the size and what type of base. Again, if we invested in a halfway decent base, we'd have it year after year. So,
It's also something we bring back up to Debbie.
yeah, I could email her too. I
Just to
I would want to
coordinate,
make sure,
yeah.
though, that we would be getting something that's fairly heavy-duty,
Yeah,
not just something that's small metal,
mhm,
because I don't think that will withstand the wind that's going to occur.
yep.
So does anybody have, would like to make a motion or a thought on a dollar amount?
Do we have money in?
Good question.
We do have, so we're coming in, if you want to, I put the budget in the packets. I did check the mailbox last week, and I gave Beth all the invoices for the porta potties, the dumpsters, the telephone, so I think they're all reflected. The October invoices are reflected in what you're looking at. We should not receive any November invoices, because I believe all the porta potties and trash have been,
Bolton still has a dumpster.
I think it stays for the winter.
Okay.
I spoke to them today, everything's been paused for the
Okay.
winter.
No, they need to empty it.
Well, all right.
We'll go back to that later when we talk about Bolton.
Well, it's paused, so if we want them to come out and empty it, we're gonna have to pay. I don't know who filled it up, but,
It's jam full, and it was probably Eversource, but I'm just guessing there, but it is jam full. Overflowing
Is
all
football
over.
still going?
No, football's been, football, they said they're done,
why do you think it would be Eversource?
because Eversource is still staging out of there.
Eversource should not be using our dumpsters.
I agree, but they were also using our porta johns.
Right, which is a little harder to get that, to say you can't do that, but if we have any evidence that that dumpster has to do.
I'm spitballing. Somebody's been using the dumpster and it is overflowing. It was in the brush when we were out there working on the trailers. We sent a couple of the adults down to try and pick up some of the stuff out of the brush, but it is overflowing down there.
I'm glad it's the dumpster overflowing and not the porta potty.
Both porta johns were at Bolton too.
Well, again, two things. Some of the porta potties get left rather than being brought back. Because I know the dumpster at Inison remains. I was told by Lisa that she took care of all of that. I can call the porta potty company, just confirm that all is good there, but I can call the dumpster company back today and ask them to come and empty that dumpster, but I would like to verify before we do it that it's not Eversource that has stuffed it full. And if
I'll
they
go-
are going to leave it there, again, it's on the agenda for later about locking the gates, but how do we keep,
Yeah, that was something else I was gonna talk
Eversource
about
never
with
reached out to the town of Ware that I know of to use that for staging, so, I think that that's an issue.
Bolton. We'll come
If
back to it when we
that's-
come back to
okay.
Bolton.
All right, so let's go back to the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
I would just say, take it out of account 631, it seems like we still have $5,000 sitting in there.
Yeah,
Okay.
agreed.
All right, so we just need a motion. Dave, do you want to make a motion?
Sure. I make a motion to have in reserve $250 for the gazebo Christmas decorations, coming out of account 631.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion on that?
That was up to, let me see, is it up
Yeah.
to 200?
Up to $250.
All right, so I have a motion to spend up by Dave, to spend up to $250 out of account 631 for any remaining Christmas decorations we may need for the gazebo, seconded by Matt. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed or abstain? The ayes have it, and we will move on. Question for you. So we have the director job description
Yep.
review. Do we want to move forward with that, being that Pam, Kyle, and Shelby are not here?
I say we wait.
I mean, I hate, yeah. I haven't even looked to actually see what the job director is on the town's website as we're looking for another one. I haven't even looked at the job description yet. But
Or-
yeah,
It's not been posted yet.
it hasn't been.
Can't post it till we have an updated job description.
Figured they were just gonna use the one that was sitting with the town already.
No.
Okay.
So could you do me a favor, Matt, and resend the clean
Yeah,
copy to all of us?
not a problem.
I had, when I went through my notes, I have a copy, but I don't think it's the updated copy.
Okay.
If you could do that, that would allow everybody, and I'll send a reminder out, if we would have it reviewed ahead of time, it might make it go quicker. I think the upside is, it's probably the time of the year where we don't need the director
As much.
as much, but I would like to get it finalized in December if everybody's okay
Well,
with
we
that.
need to get it done and get it posted so
Yeah,
that they can be
exactly.
hired by January or into February at the latest, because then you're into March, we're starting to look at
Right.
for people. By April, we're hiring people, and in May, we're back into,
So here's what I just need a commitment from everybody, is that you get it out to us, we review it, and we come to the next meeting prepared to quickly go through each one. I think that just will move the process along.
Are we
a lot
good with you
quicker.
guys sending me correction or amendment requests on this just via email? Because we're not voting on it. It's literally just going, hey, should we adjust that? Is that something we can do by email?
I would say that we would respond only to you. So you can blast it out, and then we would respond individually, not to the whole group.
That's what,
And
yeah.
then you can, and if we all give you the same spelling check, then, you know,
Yeah,
then easy enough.
Yeah, trying to
right.
reduce
Right.
months spent doing this.
yeah, because I think if we all come having really reviewed it ahead of time, we should be able to go through it. We're not making major changes to what was already there, so I think we'll be in good shape. So if you would send it out, I will then forward a reminder that we all committed to looking at it prior to the next meeting and getting through it. All right. Budget review, then real quick, I have a budget documents in your packet. Just to update the group, the revolving account remains at $36,788. Really no changes from last month, because we haven't spent anything. So the budget, going that we still have the month of December left, but we have about 13% of the budget left to get us through this last month. Again, as I just mentioned, expenses should go down for November, December, based on the stopping of the porta potties and rubbish removal, which are, besides salaries at Chase Park, are our biggest expenditures. The phone bill should go down also because it was paused effective. It wasn't reflected in the October bill because it was paused effective the end of October, so we should see it reflected in the November bill and throughout the winter. So we don't have a lot left, but I think what we can do is come back to the December meeting. If we look like we're good through the month of December, we do have a list of a few items. There were a couple things that Kristen would like to see us purchase for the lake, i.e. trash cans. They're not big dollar amounts, but we could look at spending, purchasing some of those things that we might need with any remaining funds. I did get a call regarding the Senior Citizen Activity Fund. I received a call or an email from Ware Middle School with an interest in doing the Christmas meal again this year with the students. I indicated to her that we weren't sure we could pull off 2 events in this short of time, but I offered to speak with her. She has missed calling me twice now, and I think we're at a point where if she does get in touch with me, I think it's almost too late trying to do the gazebo and some of the other things. It's just trying to pull off a whole Christmas meal. It's a little late. I feel bad because I do think it's an event that the seniors enjoyed. I think the students enjoyed it. If I do hear from her, what I might suggest is that we look at doing it next year, but let's talk about it in October
Yeah.
and not mid-November, because it's just gonna be tough.
We really need to talk about it in September.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those, we were doing the Halloween, I mean, we got the pumpkins and that, so we kind of, it's one of those things that in September or even in August, we gotta, because now we're so late in the month, or 3 weeks into the month, that in August, we gotta go, okay, we got the pumpkin hunt, we got the gazebo, and we got the senior dinner all coming up.
Yeah.
And because the 3rd week in December, we're like almost to Christmas.
Right, so maybe that's a good point, Dave. I just wrote a note that maybe for our January meeting, we could have an agenda item to look at the year 2025 ahead and sort of say, what are the sort of signature events we want to do? Pumpkin hunt, do we want to do 1 or 2 senior events? The decorating of the Christmas tree, so we kind of know how many things that we can
Yeah.
pull off based on, and again, maybe you know, knowing if we get a director hired, that would be a help too. So I'll add that to the agenda, that maybe we look at the whole year.
No, I was gonna recommend something like that. I mean, with scouts, we do that every summer before the school year starts. You know, we have the entire year planned out,
Yeah.
and it makes things a lot easier to plan.
Yeah, so I think that, I'll add that to the January agenda. We'll plan out the year, at least a tentative plan for what we want to do. Any specific questions on the budget for right now? I mean, we went over in a number of line items, so I did hear back from Beth on our proposed budget. I sent her all the explanation of why we went up on the line items that we went up on, mostly because of what you see here, things like electricity, rubbish removal, porta potties, their rates go up, so our costs go up. And again, we tried to estimate that when we went through the budget. So the only change that I heard about was that she zeroed out the minute taker, but other than that, the budget will go forward to the Board of Selectmen. I'm assuming that's where it goes next, but, and if they have, I think we get invited there, they have questions for us, so,
Yeah, you'll be able to present to the
Yeah.
Board
Yep.
of Selectmen and the
Finance Committee. Yeah, so we'll look to do that, but I think we had pretty good notes from the budget meeting as to why we upped where we did. The only challenge would be, again, if we end up with a default budget, but it is what it is. I do think that another agenda item I would like to see at the beginning of the year is just to maybe, could we go out and get some additional quotes on porta potties and rubbish removal? I think what happened this year is we talked about it in April, and it was really too late. We were in a crunch time and needed them. But I do think that we maybe could look at, are there any better pricings that we could get? So I think those are two areas we should look at for next year.
Absolutely.
Anything else on the budget that anybody wanted to bring up? I did provide you in your packets the details, the year-to-date details, so if you have any questions about what has been spent in each line item, you have that in your packet if you need it.
Do you have the income?
I didn't do it this month because it didn't change from last month. Last month was the final one. So, I didn't ask for her to send it because we saw the final one at the last meeting. Did you have a specific
Well, one of the questions that came up in discussion was to just make sure that all departments are looking at what they have for, revenue streams.
Yep.
And what they're doing, and just to make sure that, for us, specifically Park, that we're looking at anything that we're doing for the field rentals,
Right.
the advertisement around the fields where they
Right.
put the signs, things
Right.
like that. Just make sure that those revenue streams are captured and actually moved.
So what I do try to do each month is touch base with Beth while Chase Park is opened, to make sure the revenue from ticket sales are going into the revolving account. That is our only source of revenue. Now, and I don't know if the appropriate time to discuss it would be at the budget meeting. We have had discussions here about charging, field usage, advertising, are there things we can do? And I think it would be helpful to get clarification, because we get a lot of, well, in the past. Well, the past is the past. What about the present? We have a different select board now. And is there some willingness to look at things like field rental, advertising, allowing businesses to advertise and the revenue come to Parks and Rec? So right now, the advertising that you see
Yeah.
is WAC. It's Ware Athletic.
Right.
and they get all the revenue.
Right.
And part of that, my whole thing is they're deeming whether it's appropriate or not for our parks. We don't have any say on what they actually advertise. Thankfully, all of them have been G-rated and nothing that you would
Right.
question of like, wait a minute here, that's not somebody we want advertising.
Right,
But at the same point,
right.
why are they getting the they're making money off of the fences and all of that stuff in our.
I think the WAC relationship with the town is a conversation that needs to be had next year, starting in January, February, while it's still a little quiet for us. We need to have that conversation.
So a couple of things that, and I think we'll have a much longer conversation, but with the Ware Athletic Club, we have tried in the past to get information, what are they spending on upkeep and maintenance? Again, there's no charge, but 100% of the players, as far as I know, are from the town of Ware. And we could, well, you can shake your head, but up to this point, that's what we've been told. The football program is different. I had asked for a listing, a percentage of players from Ware versus other towns. I think it's close to 50-50, that 50% of the students in the football program are not from the town of Ware. Their parents are not paying, their tax dollars are not going for field usage. And again, the taxpayers are paying for the rubbish removal and the porta potties and those things. So I do think that there is some conversation we may want to have, but part of it is, what is the Board of Selectmen's view on what we should be charging organizations that support the community versus those that may be.
So I think I'd be safe to say that the board is definitely open to looking at those revenue streams
Yeah.
and bringing them to the town. Understanding that historical relationships with WAC, have been good,
Right.
because we know that they do a lot of
Right.
things. But still, it's not just WAC,
Right.
there are other things
Right.
too.
Mhm.
And
Right,
so-
right.
So the answer is, I don't know if anybody has a particular idea of, what are Saturdays, since Saturdays are premium, so you charge more per hour
Right.
of usage
Right.
at those times, versus during the middle of the week. There's all kinds of discussion
Right.
that can be had about that, but,
Right.
but at this time, I can say that the selectmen are definitely open to having those conversations.
Okay, good. Well, then definitely, I think we'll put those on our agenda for the first of the year. I'll try to dig out some notes. I did have conversation at one point with New Boston, the director of Parks and Rec, and talked to him a little bit about what they charge for around youth sports and what they don't charge for. It might be helpful to get a sense from other communities. But I do think, as we see the rising costs in electricity, porta potties, lawn care, all of these things, we're gonna have to work with all of these groups to look at how we bear the burden of the cost.
And, I mean, what are the future needs going to
Right,
be?
right.
What is it, and anything that can go into that,
Right,
that
right,
fund that
right.
can be stored for
Yeah.
the future.
Right,
Especially if it's something that people pay in and it's not coming from taxes.
correct,
And-
correct.
And anything that the park can do to be
Right.
self-reliant
Right.
would be beneficial.
Right. All right, so also on the, we'll talk about revenue streams. In the meantime, you guys can be thinking about what your thoughts and ideas are, and I do want to make sure whatever we talk about doing, I want to maintain a good relationship with WAC and with the football program. but I think they also have to understand our challenges, so.
Well, the other thing is like, okay, what are you contributing? You know, give us numbers,
Right.
give us, hey, we paid to have this, and this done. Okay, great, you know, show us, I hate to say it, but you show us a copy of the invoices so we can actually verify, okay, that you did all of this particular work, so that we can take that. I mean, because they're the ones that are saying, hey, we want to be on as soon as we can, which
Yeah.
means we're starting in April, because we really need to have porta potties beginning of, end of April, mid-April. That's just a whole nother, I know they wanted to pay for some of them, whether we say, hey, look, here's the cost of the porta potties. If you want more porta potties, here's the cost per porta potty. How many do you feel you need per location? I mean, the middle school's got, 3 outside bathrooms that they open up for WAC.
Right.
And
So
the
are you
public.
guys okay if I were to ask both programs to prepare a report for us for the beginning of the year, outlining the number of teams they have, number of students they serve, age groups, residency, expenditures that they expend towards the improvement of the fields, and even looking at revenue, and are you,
Yeah, I just have a
Yeah.
comment about so the town needs to have records of whatever is donated to the
Okay.
town. So that
Okay.
we can account for it, we can accept it,
okay,
So
there-
technically, yeah, anything WAC spending
Correct.
would be a donation to the town.
Okay.
So any donations, and my understanding, there's still that building that has not been
Yeah.
finalized.
That's my understanding too.
right, so that building, again,
So I don't mean to derail.
no, but I did the walkthrough with the head of WAC, myself, and at the time, the building inspector. I'm gonna say it's almost 2 years ago, I have my notes. I have the building inspector's report, it was just a little thing saying, until these 3 items are fixed, this building can't be approved, signed off by. So it was left that WAC would fix those things, we would have the final inspection, that's never happened.
But we're
And
using the building.
we're not, WAC is,
Well,
Yeah.
I would almost say, we may have to shut that down.
Yeah.
If it continues on, then they won't be able to use it.
the other piece that if you go back and you look at the minutes, when the building, of that building was approved, it was on the premise that WAC would fund the building of the building, it would get inspected, pass inspection, there would be a public hearing to present the building to the town as a gift.
Yes.
And that it would be the public hearing and then be voted on. So those are the things, again, 2 years ago, we were really pushing. Now, maybe if we were to, again, say, look, at the beginning of the year, we need to know where you stand with these items. Otherwise, we may ask that the building not be used in the spring, might help to move that process along.
Yes.
Or you
Yeah.
overlock it.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's absolutely fair for us to ask for basically a report of your uses and needs from the town so that we can review it.
So
And
what,
when you're trying to be on.
Yeah.
Obviously, fields are all subject to, hey, are they dry enough and ready to go and not, a soppy, muddy mess? But if you're trying to get on, when do you really wanna get on? When do you need porta potties and trash and all that things that we need to know ahead of time so that we can have it ready?
Yeah.
And then on the opposite end, our drop dead date is, we're done October 31st, we're not doing any more games or any more playoffs, we're done on X date, so that we can then go to the on the opposite end and say, we need to shut all this down and get it done. I know Chase Park is one of the ones that were kind of next thing is, the dumpster's emptied there, it's actually been flipped over, so it's actually on its lid. And so that nothing can get thrown into it over the winter. That one is not ours, because you gotta basically, once it's open in the wintertime, people can come in and throw stuff in. That one hasn't been a problem. The one at Bolton, we actually had last year or the year before. Somebody was cleaning out their house or moving, and they threw a whole bunch of their boxes, and unfortunately for us, they put their Amazon boxes with all their addresses on it.
Well,
So
that's
we
what
were-
I'm hoping if we check and see what's in there right now.
I was gonna make an offer,
But-
but we'll talk about
But
it.
anyways, just so here's what I'd like to suggest. I'm going to put together a draft document that we will send, a questionnaire, if you will, and a request for information from WAC and JR Football. I'd like to send it to the commission members, so the things that I missed, things that you want to know that I don't have on there, but again, I need a response. It is, we talked about this at the last meeting, even the draft agenda I sent out, I kind of said, I just need acknowledgement that you're okay with it, and I got nothing. So I'm a little, it's a little bit tough because I put effort into this stuff and I need a little bit of feedback. So I'm willing to put these documents together. We can't hold meetings, but all I need is a thumbs up. I got it, I'm good, whatever. I don't have anything to add. So I'll work on a document to get out, look for your feedback so we can send it to the organizations and ask them to come here maybe in January or February. We'll see how our agenda looks and do a presentation to us and review the information that they've given us to help with that conversation. And I think, James, if you feel that there's the support of the board for us to look at opportunities for additional revenue streams, that helps us, because we've been told so often that charging for the field usage or anything related to that is out of the question. It's good to know that all options can be on the table.
I think, right, as long as we recognize that people in town would,
Right.
would have, number one, first priority,
Right,
number
right.
two.
Of course.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Just like with, actually, everybody pays, no, Chase Park does a out-of-town,
Yes, out-of-town people pay more
Yeah.
to use. Yep, yep. So we already have a foundation for that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I'll add that to something I'll try to put together, and I'll send it to you guys for your input, but that's good to know. All right. Yeah, did you want me to send you an updated revenue? It just didn't change from last month, but, okay.
Yeah, no, that'd be fine. I was
All right.
just looking for something at the moment.
Yeah, I bring it all summer, but I think last meeting we went over, we pretty much did last year what we did the year before. It didn't go up, it didn't go down, it stayed about the same. And again, we can have a discussion in January about the park fees. I know we raised them 2 years ago. There was a bit of, the public wasn't overly happy. So I don't know if it's a good time to do that again, but it's something we can talk about.
It's for another night.
Yep, all right. Anything else on the budget?
Nope.
Nope.
Most of the stuff on Chase Park, I'm gonna defer, other than, Dave, I think correct me if I'm wrong, the only thing left there to do is put up the snow fence.
I
My
think-
understanding is the stakes are in, but the fence,
I don't know, I'd have to check and see if it got if the fence itself got put up.
I don't
I
think
know
it
the
did.
posts, I believe the posts are in the ground.
So I don't believe we have the fencing, because we didn't use it, we didn't do fencing last year. If I remember correctly,
I think we just put the stakes in the ground, more or less, just to, because once they're in the ground, they're frozen in and they can't get them out, to keep the people from dragging their bob houses up and over. And whether we just end up just saying, hey, once the lake's frozen and everything else like that, we open up the gate for the
right,
boat ramp. I'm like, and look, if you want to drive your truck on there or your vehicle on there, you're at your own risk, dude. If your car's at the bottom of Lake Horace, then your car's at the bottom of Lake.
so I guess for discussion at our December meeting, if you could, at some point, just take a quick look
Yep.
and verify that the stakes are in. And then I guess the question I would have is, and I know you know a lot more about the lake going on than the rest of us, should we have put up a snow fence, or are you comfortable with the stakes they put in and the distance that they are, having that be all we do? If you could come back to us
Yep.
December, that would be great. Otherwise, I think everything got closed up, and the items that I have on the agenda, other than, I think we determined at the last meeting, the swim lines will be good for one more year, but if, in December, we'll look at, if we have money left, we'll purchase a couple trash cans for that. All right, anything else on Chase Park?
Oh, the benches got all, from whatever meeting, the benches that got donated are all now, were all moved and locked up. There was
Okay,
a cable that got put through them all.
Perfect.
Everything's all 100%
Locked.
tied down there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we left them all together. I mean, the other ones are sitting out on the ground, so, we did put a stake through them, but, you know,
Yeah.
cables are sitting there.
Yeah.
The locks may not last, just because the locks, when Kristen was taking them all off, they weren't the best, but it is what it is.
All right, anything else on Chase?
Nope.
All right, moving on to Bolton. Couple quick updates.
Mm-hmm.
I did get an email from the gentleman who's working on our slide. He ran into a couple of challenges, but it does sound like it's going to get repaired and delivered back, hopefully soon. He felt like he was going to have that wrapped up in the next week or so. I'm going to make a recommendation, we do not install it, that we put it in the shed, and we install it in the spring. No sense in taking a nice new fixed slide. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to remind that any donations to the town need to be.
I'll have him write it up and, yeah, and have him let us know what he thinks he spent on that.
I need to address that in a minute.
The slide?
Something else. No.
Oh.
The donation thing.
So the things that are left there, so the sunshades have to come down soon, and there are 2 metal cans in the shed that they go into, so the mice don't get into them. The storage trailers, we talked about having them painted. It doesn't appear they got painted.
My stuff?
Huh?
My scout stuff?
Say that
My
again?
scout stuff?
Yeah, the trailers are gonna get painted.
Yeah.
Painted top to bottom.
So I can give an update on that. We cleared all the brush around it. We mounted stairs to the back of one trailer. The graffiti was painted over sides, front, back, everything. The committee for the pack we couldn't approve spending the amount of money to do a full paint of the trailers. It ended up being a significant amount of money it was 25 gallons of exterior paint to cover every single piece of those trailers. So they currently have a large amount of white paint that has covered the graffiti. But we're talking over $1,000 in paint alone. And
I-
my committee, my pack doesn't have that kind of money at this point.
I think that, again, probably not for tonight, but one of the reasons we asked for that is it's an eyesore. It doesn't bring any attractiveness to that. And we had talked to the football group to say if they put a shed there, they would maintain clean paint, good colors, those kinds of things. So we can't ask the football group to do something that we can't have the other groups do. And winter's coming, and it's not the time to do that, but I don't know if there's an opportunity to put out donations or organizations that might be willing to come out and donate and help to paint or whatever. But I do think it was the desire of the commission, particularly when we talk to the football group, that any storage units up there would be maintained.
You know what we may wanna do is, as a general guideline, it's say, okay, if you're gonna put a storage facility container on our thing, every X number of years, and we need to decide on what X is, you will repaint the entire structure, period, you know, and like, I mean, most of the paint is good for, exterior paint's good for 10 years, I mean, obviously, they gotta cover graffiti if it gets graffiti on it, but saying, hey, just like you have to paint your house, you know, every X number of years, we want you to just repaint it, give it a fresh coat of paint, make it look pretty.
So I'll recuse myself from the rest of the discussion as far as being a member of Park, okay, on the trailers, and I'll act as a representative from PAC 24, as the committee chair for PAC 24. We did our best effort to get everything that Park requested of us with the trailers. We did say we would do our best. We planned on painting the trailers. That was the initial plan that I, as the committee chair, put to our PAC committee. When we found out the budget that was gonna be required, the amount of money that would have to be spent, it was something the PAC could not do. We came to a middle ground of being able to at least cover the graffiti, with the understanding it was not 100% the request of Park, but meeting the minimum of covering up the graffiti. We have postponed any other painting work until the spring because of the winter, basically. As far as the brush maintenance and all that, we 100% agree brush maintenance will be done by us from here on out around the trailers. We're not gonna let it get overgrown. The paint discussion, from our standpoint, is something I can address with the PAC in the spring with the warmer weather and further guidance request, I should say, from Park. So
All right.
That's the
Even if-
PAC's
even if you-
position at this time.
Even if, you know, like, you can't do it, at least if, you know, obviously the graffiti, they can only, you
Yeah,
can only
they only
reach
get
so
so
high, whether you just go along and do 3 feet or 4 feet along the whole bottom of the trailer, so at least it, you know, it somewhat matches and kinda looks a little bit better than, okay, you got white here, but it's not painted over there.
We agree, we understand. It's just the scope of the project cost was much more significant than we thought it was going to be. So we did our best to meet the request of Park.
And I think that we appreciate that. I think what we have to be careful of is we set a standard. When we sat here as a commission for the storage unit for the football, and we said we have to have a standard for all. I know personally, I've received feedback regarding how those trailers detract from. Now, cutting the brush and fixing the graffiti will help. But I think we have to have a standard that is applied against the whole group. At the same time, we want to work with the PAC. So maybe it's something over the winter that they could talk about. And again, is there an opportunity to do some fundraising, look for community help, reach out to John Stark, seniors who may be looking for community service projects where the trailers could be, you know, painted, refreshed, and made to at least blend and look the way it needs to be. We're not going to solve the issue here today, but as we have to be prepared when the football group comes back, if they do decide to get a trailer, a storage unit, that was one of our conditions that they put in writing, that it will be maintained from a paint perspective. So we're just going to have to address it again in the spring. Completely understand, it's time of the year, you can't do anything at this point, but, so we'll leave it as that for now, but do appreciate that they did take care of the graffiti and cut the brush. Appreciate that effort 100%.
The PAC committee will agree that we can readdress it
Okay.
in the spring.
All right, sounds good.
Okay. And I will,
perfect.
I realize, like, I kind of have to play this safe. I have to not wear two hats at the same time in this setting.
I did not, I'll have to reach out to Tim. I have not gotten an update, a quote from him on rebuilding the shed doors out there, so I don't have an update on that. What about Matt, an update on the bark mulch? Have you got a delivery date?
So at this time, I've been speaking with the supplier, and I spoke to Jason a while ago, and now we're playing phone tag. Since we don't see any snow in the forecast,
Yep.
the supplier and I are talking about a delivery first week of December. Jason and I are trying to touch base. I'm thinking, for the time being, my proposal is to have the mulch delivered, and even without a fixed, put out date, and then we just lock up the park while the mulch is sitting and finalize something with, now I'm on the phone with Jason, back and forth. So that, I could have a solid, hey, we're doing it the 3rd or whatever. But I want to give a date to the supplier while we continue to work on coordinating with DPW for spreading it out.
So so I didn't realize it was the plan for DPW to help us spread. We were gonna put out a community,
So, and I have.
and I don't.
Yeah, so.
I mean, if DPW has said they can help us, that'd be
Yes.
great, but.
Yeah, last month I brought it up and we talked about it. I've been on the phone with Jason 2 or 3 times now so far. He said he's more than willing to help as long as we don't have snow, obviously. He's got the equipment to bring down to help us out. I made sure, I said, hey, we're bringing in 2 trailers full. He's like, yep, no, I get it. A lot of stuff. The second part of that proposal was I was going to put out a request via Facebook, friends, contacts, to get volunteers to come down with equipment and help. I mean, we can all bring shovels and wheelbarrows, but we all know this is going to be equipment primary to move stuff. The other component of that is tearing out the sandbox before we start driving over it. So I wanted to ask, is everybody okay with me kind of officially putting out the info, hey, we're putting down this playground chips, can we get some help from the community, Not necessarily from businesses, but as the townspeople are getting together and trying to help out.
So I think we had already agreed that we would do similar to what they did with the decorations, that we would put out on our media pages the date and what we were looking for, and see if there's any community willingness. The woman who had done the weeding, had also said, when you get ready to do the mulch, she would be willing. So I think
Yep.
we already agreed that we would do that.
Yeah.
I think the biggest challenge right now is we need a date,
Yep,
and because we probably need a couple weeks lead time.
that's why I was saying, if we
Yeah.
can push out first week of December. The volunteerism I've gotten responses from so far and that we've talked about has been small scale. It's been, a family with a wheelbarrow. We truly need tractors and bobcats going in there.
So a couple of things that I would say, and we do have a John Stark student who would like to be involved for their community service, so
Okay.
I have her email. I think you should, if you don't, we can make sure Pam gives you access to it, but you can post on our Facebook page, so you could put out the date and what is needed. I think we have to be careful that we have some coordination of, if there's equipment there like bobcats.
Of course, yeah.
That we don't have too many, but we also have safety. We have to consider safety at
Of
all
course.
times.
Yeah, absolutely. And I planned on overseeing being down there for all of it.
So, because I would like to see it delivered, and I'd like to see us, if we could, before it got too cold, get it spread. I do know that when we talk about the Bolton, as we go through this, when we talk about the master plan that I'd given all of you last meeting, the master plan actually addressed the sandbox being in a poor location. and
remember
pushing
that.
it back over to where the other sunshade is, which would be more ideal. And if we're gonna redo it in the spring, we might as well take up the ties and
Agreed.
plan on moving it in the spring. And I think we could address a nicer entryway into the playground at the same time. I know you were over there last weekend. Salem called me because of the water
I was
leak in
there
the
with them,
pump.
yeah.
So I rode over to take a look at what was going on. I talked to Salem a little bit. We did also talk about the bricks. So the bricks look the way, they haven't been vandalized since I weeded them. There were bricks missing when I weeded them. They might have been vandalized years ago, but it's not a recent vandalism. However, you can tell that somebody has started to dig up one
Yeah,
of them.
somebody's been picking at them, yeah.
So Salem also mentioned that if we're going to move the sandbox, readdress the entryway, we also might want to address moving all those bricks and putting them somewhere where it'd be less likely the kids playing in the sandbox would say, hey, and do something where we could keep them clean and free. So I do think if we pull up the sandbox ties, plan on replace it, we already had voted to use ARPA funds, we'll just have to re-vote to use our own. And then the spring address, moving the sandbox to a better location.
Yeah.
We already voted to make it handicap accessible when we were
Yeah,
purchasing
we
the
buy the new
ties.
ties, yep.
And we might even be able to purchase a second ramp similar to that as an entryway into the playground potentially. But anyways, so yeah, if you could coordinate getting a date, get what you need out on Facebook, that would be great, because then we could do that. As far as the gate goes, I think we should be locking that gate soon, even before the delivery of the mulch. In general, we lock the gates towards the end of November, 1st of December. So I locked the gate at Inison the other day. I locked up the tennis courts and did Inison at the same time. That keeps people out of the dumpster unless they walk in with it. So I wanted to talk tonight about what everybody felt about picking a date, November 30th, December 1st, and locking Bolton for the winter. I believe we give access to, there's a couple of people that have right-of-way access for snowmobiles that last year.
Yeah,
we
there's
had given-
people who have access because they own the property down the dirt road. I mean, obviously, like, Scouts has access for the trailer, yeah, there's some people. Before we move with the gate, if we have companies in town, they're like, yeah, we'll come help because we want to help out, am I gonna have to go to them and say, hey, I need a quote for 6 hours of your time?
I think there's a dollar amount, that, like the cookies and hot chocolate for the tree thing. I don't think we have to go to that level, but I'm not sure what it is.
But in exchange, I could ask Naomi, in exchange for their service, could we say, for 1 year, you can put your business sign on the fence?
I'm trying to avoid getting it any complicated than it has to be. I'm just trying to make it, the townspeople got together, and so-and-so happens to be a landscaper, and he's got a tractor with a backhoe and a bucket, so he said, I'll throw in 6 hours of my time.
Is he doing it as a citizen, or is he doing it for his business?
I would ask them to be doing it as a citizen, not as your business.
Yeah. So, good question, don't have an answer. I did write myself a note to check on what
Okay.
kind of limits, we have on that sort of thing.
I would appreciate if you could get me an answer on that. Because I'd hate to have to go to a bunch of people, ask for help, and then say, oh yeah, by the way, can you write me up a quote on this?
Yeah.
That kind of ruins it. The gates. I've had some discussions with people, friends and scout families and whatnot, who have asked us to discuss keeping the gates at Bolton open as long as possible. They like having access to the playground.
I think we had this discussion in past years. We have seen, as soon as you get a little bit of snow, you've got the kids in their trucks doing the donuts. That's how we lost the football field one year. So as a commission, not that we can't revisit it, but we kind of made a decision that, like Chase Park, like other towns, and other towns with playgrounds do the same thing. They pick a date and they lock it. And I think that's why we pushed most of the parks off to December 1st. Sometimes in November, we get snow. We haven't this year, but we have in the past. Last year, we got an early snow, and they were down there with their trucks. So I think we have to look at the bigger picture.
I would say the Monday after Thanksgiving,
Yeah,
so,
be
because
consistent
they
and
still
just,
got the middle school playground that's obviously open and they can get, they can get into the middle school playground with, and there's also Center Woods has got a huge playground.
It was asked of me to put it out and,
We've had-
have a discussion.
and we did last year, and people asked the same thing, and, like Chase Park gets locked pretty early. Inison, we don't lock until the last game. Even this year, we left it open a little bit longer. We just have to draw a line in the sand for Bolton, for the protection of our investment there. To Dave's point, there's baseball fields and soccer fields and playgrounds, other places that aren't so isolated, that we need to get those gates locked up, and we can obviously unlock them on the day that the mulch is being delivered and we're working in the park, and we generally pick a date in the spring. I think last year, correct me, Dave, if I'm wrong, we can go back and look at minutes, it was in the April timeframe that
think
we
it was-
went back and opened them up
Didn't we
again.
open it and close it back up because of the storm, that late storm?
Yeah, but I believe we ended up opening it like the Friday before school break, if I remember correctly.
So I think it's,
So it was open for school vacation
Yeah.
week, so people could go down and play and do whatever.
you're talking about April vacation break.
Yes.
So I think, again, in the spring, it's just a matter of, is it safe to open those gates
Yeah.
and let people down in there to drive? So,
I'd say the Monday after Thanksgiving, we lock it up.
what's the
And
date there?
It's the 1st or 2nd of December?
We'll just call it December 1st.
All right. All right, so we'll lock those gates on December 1st, and if you need,
I have the code, so,
there's not a gate, there's not a lock there.
if we're gonna lock the gates on the 1st and they're gonna deliver chips on the
Yeah, I just,
first week.
right, I gotta figure out where the,
Oh, you don't know where the
Lock is-
padlock is?
no.
Oh,
There is no, I'm gonna have to check with Lisa, otherwise we're gonna have to buy one. So, what I did is,
what happened to the padlock and cable from last year?
I have no idea. I'm gonna have to ask Lisa.
Oh, okay,
It's-
sorry.
it's not in my possession, it's not in our mailbox, and I don't know where it is.
It's Monday, December 2nd.
Okay.
It's December 2nd is
Okay,
the date, not the 1st. The 1st is a Sunday.
all right. I was able to reset the padlock on the tennis courts and change that code. I had a spare padlock, I think because Lisa had bought two for the tennis courts, and we never switched the back one out. So I used the spare padlock to lock Inison. And I may have another one I may have one more that Lisa gave me.
Because that was like a brand new padlock and cable.
I'll ask
was
her
on
if
there
she
last
knows where
year.
it is, but I think I want to see this year, and again, if we hire a new director, I would put that on their plate. We should have a process by which it's Inison, there's no cable. I got the lock on it the best I could, but we should have here's where the equipment goes when it comes off in storage, so we know exactly where it is in the spring or fall.
Oh, yeah, and I mean,
So
yeah,
I thought it was wrapped around the post.
And maybe it is, I haven't been down there to look.
That would be the
I'll
most
go-
logical place to put it. was
Yeah.
Open it up and wrap it.
or in the shed, I mean,
And just put it around,
Yeah.
put it around.
I'll go down to Bolton tomorrow
Yeah.
after I drop off the girls, and I'll look at the dumps. I'll look at a bunch of issues down
Yeah,
at
look
Bolton
at the
tomorrow, and I'll
dumpster and
email
look at
you.
that.
Yeah.
I did have a bit of a challenge getting the gate closed at Einison because it was overgrown with vines.
Yeah.
So I don't know how challenging it will be for Bolton, but, all right. So, all right, so you'll keep us posted.
Yep.
And you're gonna coordinate the bark mulch. The sandbox, we're okay with pulling up the ties. We'll address it in the spring, which was our original decision anyways. And, we'll lock the gate December 2nd with a, and I did put, a message out on our Facebook page that the tennis courts had been locked, Einison had been locked, and that by the end of the month, Bolton would be locked. So it is out there in the public to give them a fair warning. Because of, I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on the site plan. I had given everybody last week last month, I had gone to the file and done the site plan that I had passed out to all of you. Today, I emailed you all photos, if you remember.
Yeah, thank you for
The
that.
things were long, and I couldn't copy them, so I emailed them to you so you could expand them. What I did include for you tonight is a document. So I went online and there's something called Granite View. It is part of UNH's software where you can look in in the state on conservation land. So on the document that I gave you, on the right-hand side, if you're looking at it, is a picture from Granite View of that entire parcel of Bolton that is under conservation, and off to the side of it, I'm sorry, the Granite View piece is on the left-hand side of the document. The right-hand side is Avatar, which is where we can go. So it's a picture of the tax map. And the left-hand side just shows that it's in conservation and the name of the forest, it's the wood forest.
Okay.
Just to throw out there, I did have a conversation with Mr. Bolton, who donated the Bolton Field. I asked him about the property we talked about the property that came up for
I
sale.
have more on that too.
And I just said to him, hey, look, you've owned all this land, you're very familiar with it. Is this property something that we should even be thinking about? What are your thoughts? And his thoughts were pretty much, it's ledge, if you look at it, it's all boulders. It goes uphill, it's not level at all. He feels that it would be, in addition to the cost of purchasing it, a huge expense to even try to prepare that land. He didn't think it was worth us even pursuing. However, he did talk about additional land that's in this wood forest. Again, James, I'm looking at you. We talked last month about the fact that not a whole lot's been resolved on the East Road property. And not for tonight, but just to throw out there, would there be the opportunity to have discussions with the Conservation Commission? Are there parcels that are already associated with this that the town owns that could be looked at to expand in the future to meet Parks and Rec needs as we put a 5-year plan together? Naomi did mention at one point to me that there are abilities to go to the state and make changes to conservation
Take it out of conservation.
based on needs and so on and so forth. So, the individual that I spoke to, again, just casual conversation, said if you're looking at property around Bolton, it might be wise to take an additional look at what's in the remainder of that portion, because you already got a road in there, you've already got a well in
Yeah,
there.
there's a long road back there, yeah.
No, I would say that that the board is open,
Yeah.
that the selectmen are certainly open to that.
Right.
To having that conversation.
So I think as we look at as we go into next year, again in the winter months when hopefully it's not as busy, although the agenda seems to be filling up, that we should be talking about our strategic plan, a 5-year plan. Again, when we send out a request for information from WAC and the football programs, we should be revisiting the numbers they gave us, the needs they gave us, that would help add to that plan. But I just wanted the members of this commission to have to go along with this packet, what that parcel looks like,
Okay.
and what's around it. But I think trying to pursue that piece that just came up for sale
It's a no-no.
may not really be a good option
No.
at this point.
I unofficially contacted the Realtor, who's listing the property, and just asked general questions about it. He said the same thing, it's ledge, there's like one area that was set up for a feed area for horses and a run, and that it would 100% not be donatable, must be purchased,
I don't think.
just completely
Yeah.
unsuitable for anything.
Yeah,
Put a rock on it while they're-
yeah. All right, so appreciate you getting that information. So let's plan again, if you haven't had a chance to look at the packet, and Dave, I know you just got yours tonight. There are some interesting things in there, as I mentioned, the sandbox being one of them, which we could easily take care of.
Yeah.
They address things like the safety of dropping off student athletes, the ability to maybe change the egress going in and out a little bit. It even addresses where your trailers are, additional parking in an indoor recreational facility, which I don't know what they were thinking, but I don't think that's something that I've seen as a need. It also address using some of that area to expand what they call court athletics, such as tennis, basketball. So again, as we have to address the tennis courts, there may be even some potential where this plan talked about putting a building, maybe it's not a building that goes up, but it's a replacement opportunity for tennis, pickleball, basketball, whatever we might want to look at doing. So I think there's some things in there that are good. I think there's some things in there that we probably wouldn't even think about doing. So,
I think refocusing our
And it-
efforts on the Bolton area
Yeah.
is a much better use of our time and energy.
and it would not, the plan doesn't address additional fields, it just addresses, and it addresses the inadequacy of the current fields. For example, the football fields don't, the baseball field doesn't fully meet regulation, so it addresses some of those things, so. Anyways, take a look at it, plan on maybe talking about it in January, February timeframe to start thinking about how we put together a 5-year plan that we could present to the board. Salem had asked me for a copy of it. I gave him a copy. If he wants to share it with you guys, well, you already have one too, so,
I will say that if we're looking at some of the properties, a lot of that property is probably gonna be the same thing,
Yeah,
all bony
that's
and.
agreed.
So I will, again, didn't really get into detail, but the individual I was talking to who knows that property well, indicated there are parts of that property that are very level, would need to have, some site work done. Again, are there opportunities to work with groups in the community who might be interested in helping us clear the land? But he felt that there were portions of that, I believe he said the wood forest, which it looks like it's all that same parcel, has some much more level ground that might be attractive to us to look at, that isn't so ledgy and so up and down. So in the spring might be worth doing a site walk out there or taking a walk up there to see what opportunities there may be. And again, having to talk to conservation about it too. I mean, we would have to bring them in and have a discussion
Bet you they know that property
with them.
very well.
Yeah, so, lot of stuff to do, but just food for thought to be thinking about this.
Okay.
All
Let's
right.
get on to the landscaping contracts so that we can be done.
All right, just real quick, I'm gonna race through the rest of it. Nothing has to be done at Purington. I locked the gate at Inison. We don't have to do anything to skate park, right, for the winter? That
No,
stays open?
I loosened loosened the cable on the fence, so it'll actually, looks like it's nice and tight, but if it actually gets snow pushed against it, it'll expand out and have less likely to go. I did actually find, there is a beautiful, the sign's actually in really good shape, all the rules for the skate park.
Okay,
It's a sign that's like this tall, so unfortunately, it won't be able to be mounted to the fence. We'd actually have to mount it up, we either have to put in posts to be able to mount it on.
Yeah.
But it is in a safe spot right now.
Cool.
all right, so maybe we can look at doing.
The
that
only
this
thing I
spring.
thought of is, do we wanna mount it onto that ramp? Would be the only place you could actually mount it, but other than that, we'd have to we'd have to drive in some posts. and
Where's
some-
this, where is the sign right now?
It's in,
The safe
it's in,
location.
it's in maintenance, it's in one of the rooms in the school, I actually
Okay,
happen to.
all right.
It's in a secure location, yeah.
Secure undisclosed location, yes.
No, it's a secure location, all right, so, let's talk about that in the spring, that maybe we look to get it mounted and, we probably don't need to do that for the winter. So the nets are down at the tennis courts, and they're stored in the bin that's up there. Lisa wasn't able to get the new sign, so I'm gonna try to get to Goffstown this week to pick it up. We can talk about the nets in the spring. If anybody notices, the benches are all tipped over, I did
Yes.
that on purpose, because I was afraid if the wind blew them over, it would damage the surface. Change the code, change the message on the town voicemail, so we should be good there for the season. So that one's closed up. All right, so I think all of our parks are in good shape. So, if you want to grab at the back of in your packets, is the contract with the email from Naomi, the questions that we have to answer. So, we should be able to work through these pretty quick. So, on page 1, section A, number 6, that she would like us to have a more specific, like the Thursday before Memorial Day or the Monday.
I wanted the Friday, 1 week prior to Memorial Day. So they are done and out, because they were in there last year on the Saturday of Memorial, the weekend before, and they're all in there with their backpack blowers, blowing stuff, and I mean, we had to also try to get that, they were great, that we worked around them and they were good, but they also had to get all of their stuff out of the way so we could actually get the boat back down to be able to put out the swim lines and things like that.
So I just want to clarify so the Friday before, so
Friday, 1 week, the Friday, 1 week
prior
prior
to, okay,
to Memorial Day.
Okay,
Is
all right.
that making sense?
yep, it does. I just wanted to make sure I understood it the way you just said it, but yes, it does. Okay, page 1, section A, number 7. 5-foot radius should be,
Outside, number 11, whatever,
5-foot radius should be 5-foot perimeter, and the question is, do we own the 5 feet or does someone else?
Good question. Do we own the 5 feet away from that fence?
I believe we do. I've looked at the plans before, but, all right, I will take care of that one.
on the tennis courts?
Yeah, because I'll go talk to Naomi. We'll pull the plans, we'll pull the, tax map. It should be able to give us a sense of that, but they mow it right now, so anyways, I'll take care of number 7. Item 3, so go to page 2.
No, we need number 11 on the skate, you can only be like a foot off that skate park fence. The school owns the outside of that fence, basically.
Okay,
You guys are saying a 5-foot radius, no, they only need to do like, not even a foot, I mean,
So-
basically,
A 1-foot perimeter around the skateboard park?
yeah.
or is it better to just say keep weeds from growing up into the fence, or just say 1 foot?
1 foot.
Okay, so instead of 5 foot, it's 1 foot? Okay. All right. Then the next one she gave us was on page 2. Section 6, page 2, second section, number 6.
Oh,
Board asked for definition of the size area and the timing the planting seed is done. So number 6, we'd asked that the lawn care will include, at Lake Horace, it will include lawn care and seeding and liming of grass area along the slope to prevent erosion. The timing on that, I think, is what they're asking.
But certainly the
And the
timing of
area.
it, when would you like that done? Also, what's the total area? And specifically, we're talking about along the sloped area. We want to make sure we know what is the sloped area and define that in particular, or whether is that the sloped area going down to the water, which I thought it was, but how long, what's the.
we'd have to go measure it,
We have
but I
to
know
square
it's from,
footage it.
basically, where the Red Cross steps end, headed toward the big beach. From that, all the way around to the other edge of the, basically from there, if you go down and make the L on the parking lot and come to the end of where the boat trailers go, is basically that L down over. And how big that is, I don't know.
Well, even if you were to define it, specifically the sloping from the parking lot, down to the water, from the steps.
From the Red Cross steps closest to the big beach, because there's 2 ends of the steps, so you gotta say closest to the pavilion would probably be the easiest way, because
And then that's, this, you're saying the slope all the way to the boat ramp?
no, to the end, basically to the edge of to the end of the parking lot would be where I would say.
From the edge of the asphalt.
Basically, you're going down and making the L. So if this is the Red Cross steps are up here, you're coming here, down, and here. So it's over both, basically going over. Because then you have the roadway coming in.
I'm totally lost, I'm sorry.
But anyway, that's the.
Dave, are
So
you
we need
able to
we
even
need a
get
solid
picture or
definition with
something?
square footage and better defined as to from what point to what point.
And even if it's approximate, the approximate, I would say the approximate square foot.
Yeah.
If you're saying, 300 square feet, starting at such and such a place and ending at such and such a place, going down,
Right.
going down. That
Can
would
you,
be the.
can you do that, Dave?
Yeah.
So,
Thank you,
on,
Dave.
James, on the seeding and liming, so one of the challenges we've had is unless the director, which again is a part-time position, gets out there and seeds and limes, which doesn't really make sense, we lose the grass,
Yep,
and then the sand is eroding.
yep. No, there's no question about
Right,
having it.
right, so the question around, I mean, I guess I would be looking to the landscape company, is it best to do seeding in the spring and lime, or is it best to do it in the fall? Is it midsummer? So for us to sit here, for me to say, I personally know the person who's given us some feedback on our lawn at home has said seeding your lawn is best done in the fall. So, could we look to the landscape company to say, we need the grass to be seeded, limed, and maintained, and let them determine if it's better to do it in the spring or the fall?
We can certainly get that information, get some guidance on that.
Yeah,
And that'd be, you know, that, it might just be, hey, Naomi, we need guidance on, is it better to do it in the spring or in the fall? What does the landscape company suggest?
And if it's in the fall,
It would have to be.
after Columbus Day weekend,
Yeah, after we shut down.
after we're shut down.
Yeah.
For the season, then they can go in, then lime it, they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, that's still
And then we
plenty.
don't have anybody worried about getting their kids in it or anything else like that, would be.
And that might be,
That might be the best, is just request they do it in the fall after we shut down.
so, okay,
There's no
But-
question then, if we just say,
I think we have to be careful, because if they say doing it too late into October, the seed's not gonna grow, whatever.
I hear what you're saying.
And I can tell you this year, when Lisa did it, it wasn't in October, it was in August or September. And so we did it anyways. So I would be looking to somebody, I don't want to just randomly put a date out, and I'll talk to Naomi about it, but even if we have to,
yeah, that's one of the downsides of doing something outside, like we all know.
Yeah.
This year, we ended up doing some seeding in October, and it's worked out okay. It would've been better if we had a little more water, a little more rain on
Right.
it, but it's going, and it's still growing, it
Right.
hasn't died
Yeah.
on us yet. So October can be
right,
a good time for special, you know, maybe that's one of the
Right.
benefits of global warming. But springtime, you know, might be as well, it's gonna be, should it be, I guess one of the big things, do you want it done just once a year, or should it be done twice a year?
Do we do it, yeah, I mean, we could say they do it in the fall, which I like to recommend it doing it in the fall, but then we touch up as needed, like,
I think
there's a
what,
whole lot of
I
variations.
think what
in
we're
this.
looking for is having the landscape company be responsible for maintaining the lawn, the grass. And so, well, either that or we're gonna have to ask our director to do that.
No, I know what you're saying, I know.
So part of, and I can have a conversation with Naomi to see if we could come up with wording, but on a year like this where we had a drought, there may be more that we have to do to it than 2 years ago when we had too much rain. But I would hope that if we put the base expectation, we need the grass to grow and be maintained, and this area, to some degree, let them use their judgment based on the rain or lack thereof, the time of the year, those types of things. Does that make sense, or?
Yeah, it's just hard to put that into a contract, I think, but
It's also gonna be hard for somebody who's bidding on the contract to say, I can do it at,
at the very least, we have
least once a
control
year.
over saying
Once a
it's
year.
gonna be this, you know, this particular area.
And once a year,
And say-
that, yeah.
Yeah,
And again, seeding might not have to happen every year, because if we could get the grass to come in and it maintained, then we wouldn't need to have it seeded again. I think the problem is we just have had nobody to consistently take care of it,
yeah.
and we lose our grass every year.
And I'm trying to, is there a lot of traffic on that?
Just foot traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Foot traffic on the slope.
Yeah,
be detrimental.
yeah. All right, let me see, I'll work with her on that one then.
Just planting, you know,
The one thing I'm noticing here that we need to go back and address is at the top of page 2,
All right,
the very first line, one regular mowing only between July 15th and August 15th. The very, very top line on the top of
that's
page.
not ours.
Oh, that's-
Not
that's-
ours.
That's for the solid waste facility.
That's not our, this contract.
I just want to make sure that that's only for the solid waste that they're doing
That
it.
would, that would only be for the solid waste. The things we need to worry about for us, basically should be highlighted.
Right.
Okay.
Green
Right.
on some of
Correct.
ours, or,
Yep.
you know, very.
Okay,
dark
I just want to
stuff.
make sure that we are getting regular mowings throughout the year, so. Because,
So that would be where, it said, you know, the fourth line down, you know, the following 15 municipal properties will receive regular lawn care and maintenance, town hall, blah, 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 and then going into Chase Park and Lake, you know, at Lake Forest.
okay,
So that, And this would be specifically, the Chase Park would also require, you know, the yearly seeding and liming. To promote proper grass growth and, you know, as necessary and as determined by the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, I mean, if that's open-ended enough that it's received regular lawn care and maintenance, then I say we can open-end
I like that.
what Chase Park needs to maintain
I like the
grass
words,
in the slope.
promote proper grass growth. I like that, because that kind of leaves it. All right, number 12. I think they're just looking for us to change the 5-foot radius to parameter on the outside.
Yeah, just, yeah,
So
change
I could
5-foot
change
radius
that.
to 5-foot perimeter.
Yep.
That, you know, when you go through,
When,
I see, Bolton Playground for regular mowing and weeding occurs in and around the sandbox. For I was thinking, I think.
sandbox and picnic area.
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking, maybe just take out the word occurs, because it's kind of,
Okay,
you know, say, it's happening now,
yep.
um,
Not really, no.
well, but that's what you're saying, it
Yeah.
occurs there.
Okay, we can take that word out. Bolton Playground for regular mowing and weeding in and around the sandbox and picnic area.
Yeah.
Inside the fence area of the playground is trimmed and weeded to prevent weeds from encroaching into the mulch, and a 5-foot perimeter around the outer parameter of the playground fence to prevent weeds and brush from encroaching the fence.
We can just put a 5-foot perimeter of the
Outside.
playground fence. Or a 5-foot perimeter around the playground fence,
5-foot perimeter outside the fence.
outside the fence. Okay, that works, yeah, a 5-foot perimeter outside the fence.
So, let's see, so we're gonna say regular mowing and weeding in and around, remove the word occurs.
Mhm.
In and around the sandbox and picnic areas, comma, inside the fenced area of the playground. I would say that, yeah, so after picnic areas, period, and then start a new sentence. Inside the fenced area of the playground to be trimmed and weeded. I mean, that's why, you know, we could probably remove the to prevent weeds from encroaching, because that's the whole point of the weeding.
I think the point of that, though, is that the weeds are in the mulch, and I like the idea of having to prevent the encroaching into the mulch, is because it's so insane. I don't know.
I think when we submitted this, James, we were trying to describe to you guys what we were looking for.
Right.
Not that necessarily you would take verbatim what we sent in.
Surprise!
Yeah, so it was more to make sure that you understood what we were looking for. If you think that taking out prevent weeds from encroaching won't get lost in by the company, that's fine, we can take that out. We were just trying to make sure that the Board of Selectmen understood, we're trying to keep the weeds out of the inside of the playground. So,
If there's a way to, I guess, I get it, I guess, as a board, we were kind of,
Playground is trimmed
what are you
and
saying?
weeded to,
What are we saying
is
here?
trimmed and weeded.
well, we're saying that we, inside the fence area of the playground, to be trimmed and weeded to prevent weeds from encroaching into the mulch, period. Then a 5-foot parameter around playground fence.
To be mow, or mow a 5-foot
Yeah.
perimeter
Mm-hmm.
outside the,
Essentially
Yeah.
brush hog. the perimeter of the
Most like
fence.
Brush hog?
Yeah.
Yeah, so let me go back to the weeded. Inside the fence area of playground is trimmed and mulch weeded? To specify that we're all the mulch is
Free of weeds.
free of weeds, not just inside the fence line. Like, all those vines and roots need to come out the weeds kind of thing, like. It's hard to say that in a short sentence. Because we do have a very specific goal we're trying to accomplish with that area.
Yep. No, right, because everything grows.
Well, we can, I think
Oh, we
saying,
can take those weeds and put them in the Chase Park, and that'll help the area right about there.
so I think what
I
I,
wanna walk on those.
Matt, what I just heard you say, I think we could make it so inside the fence area of the playground, trimmed with mulch weeded, period. If the mulch is weeded, that means all of it.
That's, yeah, that's what I was trying to convey,
So,
was
and
all the
then-
mulch is weeded.
I guess we just want to make sure we're keeping the same voice that we're saying. Whether it's, you know, we're talking, you know, present versus past tense in how we're writing all of this. We're kind of muddled.
We're playing with words, weird, yet inside the fence area playground is trimmed and mulch weeded.
So think of it as you're telling somebody, this is what you're gonna do, not saying it is trimmed, it will be trimmed, you will, you know.
All right,
trim-
well,
trim
I
this.
can rewrite that to say Bolton Playground will be mowed. I mean, I can say weekly, but I don't think it needs to be mowed weekly. I think that's too much.
It doesn't have to be weekly.
I think
That's
we're
why
more,
we use the
I
word
think we're more
regular, though.
looking at the specific, because the word regular already exists in the overall saying of these 15 properties. So all we need to specify is what exactly needs to be mowed and weeded at Bolton Playground. The regular maintenance is already included in the heading of the following 15 properties. So Bolton Playground, mowed, and I'm trying to read how the rest of the people have this.
But if you look at items 3 and 4, I think, you know, make sure, like this gazebo center part, make sure clippings do not end up in mulch.
So they're already planning on mowing it, so we can actually take mow out as well, because
I-
they're
I
already,
just- I find it interesting, you look at item number 4, town office building area, including parking area and perimeter, outside fence. It doesn't even say 1 foot 5 feet.
yeah.
They're not being specific, at least
Yeah.
we're trying to
Yep.
be specific. So, I mean, I think I can reword this to basic, because I don't want to sit here for an hour wordsmithing. Basically, what I heard you say, James, is to word it so that we're instructing, this is what we want done
Yes.
on a regular basis. And what we want done is we want the sandbox area mowed and weeded. We want the inside of the playground trimmed, the mulch weeded, and we want a 5-foot parameter around the fence to be brush hogged / mowed. They can decide whether they want to use a brush
However they wanna
hog
do it,
or
yeah.
mower.
Well, hopefully they'll have to do the brush hog once and then.
Exactly.
mow it.
Yeah,
Correct.
exactly.
Correct.
Yeah,
I would say, not knowing that it had been done, somebody went in there and cleared, and it looks amazing. How do you maintain that?
you have to go in regularly and brush hog the
So
crap out of
do
it.
we add that whole swath to that once a
don't
year?
think we can
Somebody
make that
goes in and
adjustment
does
right now,
that, or?
I would say once every couple of months, because I would do it.
Minimum, yeah.
I would do it in the spring to get it done, and then I would do it maybe in August, beginning of August, so then it looks nice. Because you get your 2 seasons, you got your lacrosse and baseball in the spring, and then you have your soccer in the fall, so I would say,
We didn't,
Can we even introduce this into this?
I mean, yeah, this has not gone out, so.
So we can make additional or better specify the requirement for that area.
I think here's the challenge, when we put this together, that was full-grown trees.
Yep.
And we weren't going
And
to
now it's
put
not.
that, right. Now, it has been completely taken to the ground.
Yeah.
And we either let it get overgrown again, or now that somebody in the town took care of doing that, we add that in as an additional need that,
We can ask that it be maintained at no more than a 12-inch height or something like that. And that leaves it on them to figure out how many times do I need to trim it down. You know, if they gotta go into brush hog in the beginning of the year and then they hit it,
I'm not sure we wanna give them that much leeway.
I was just throwing a number.
Yeah, but
but-
just say, brush hog this, this twice a year.
I do think that when we've seen the scouts or other groups go in and brush hog, they do it once a year. It keeps it down for, I think if we said twice a year, spring and fall, would be more than enough, more than we've ever had in the past.
Sure.
So I will add, and I'll work with Naomi so she understands it, that the swath from the parking lot down along the soccer field to the back of the soccer field
Yep.
is brush hog twice a year. Does that sound okay? Because we might as well keep it up now that it's been done.
You say the
Alright.
slope from the playground area down
Yep.
to
All right.
between the ball field and soccer field.
All right, so that was what number were we on?
That was number
12?
4?
4 on.
Okay,
Naomi's,
Yeah.
so now let's move to number 5, page 3,
7.
number 7 at the top. Again, change foot to radius to parameter, all right. That's just a repeat of,
Yeah, well, it's because we put mowing and weeding in 2 sections, that's why. They need to be separated. The mowing requirements for Bolton Playground need to go under section C. And then the weeding requirements need to go under section E. That's why it's literally the same sentence twice.
okay, but the problem is, I'm now reading all the way through this, is the skate park needs to be somewhere other, because it's just done in the spring, that's it. They do it once a year and they're done. They don't touch it the rest of the year, and that can't happen. If you see it's not anywhere in them 15 properties will receive regular maintenance.
Yes.
We need to make sure the skate park is actually on that,
is on that list.
that it's actually getting, they,
Well, so since E is the section for weeding, edging, and mulching, just like they put,
but it says in the spring.
yes.
Right.
Give me 1 second. So just like the solid waste facility had its own subsection for mowing, right?
Yeah.
And then the other 15s, just skateboard park needs to have its own subsection as its own item, needs to be weeded, or, edged and weeded
Monthly.
monthly, so that we say, here, this one item under edging and weeding needs to be done monthly.
so can I just ask the question, what we need for Bolton tennis courts, Inison skate park, is we need regular maintenance, not just the spring. So do we even need them to go in and do anything specific in the spring? If they start the maintenance, regular maintenance, do we need anything done in the spring?
No, in the spring is a separate section.
I know, but why do we even have to have anything done in the spring.
Well, no, they go in the spring, they edge out all the things, they trim all the bushes, they put bark mulch down on all of the properties, all of that gets done in the spring, so I understand why the spring one is there. So we need either, we'll see regular maintenance and care, whether we just put the skate park on that list and just say,
So I will add the skate,
you know.
I will add the skate park to regular lawn care section.
Right,
Okay.
that it gets weeded and blown out.
All right,
Does
so,
that make sense, James?
Yeah, so, so our section A on this, right, where it says spring and fall cleanup and maintenance, you know, they will receive a spring and fall cleanup, and we'll list out what they're supposed to be doing, and so, you know, this might be the, I mean, I don't know, we're all kind of making stuff up as we go along here, right, but this may be the better place to have where the seeding and liming goes, maybe.
Yep.
Because you're only asking for, or the, you know, or have it done in a fall only. I don't think we have everything is a spring and fall, or a spring only, they don't have a fall only.
Okay, so they have a definition for all of this. Fall cleanup consists of removal of leaves, stones, branches, and any other material not consistent with good lawn care.
reading, tell us what page you're on.
3,
Definitions that apply to these
Yeah.
specifications.
page 3. Definitions that apply. Yep. So 2A has the definitions for spring, fall, and cleanup and maintenance. It has the definition for its regular mowing. It has so they've laid out what is included as defined in all these sections.
So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna, where they have put for the library,
Where are you back at?
same section under the definitions. You keep going down,
Just 2 steps above letter B.
Yep, I see it, yep.
then should we be putting in there for Chase Park in the spring, for Chase Park in the fall? Because there's spring cleanup for Chase Park, and there's fall maintenance, and then there's the regular weekly maintenance.
I hear what
So
you're
I
saying.
can move those, the Chase Park components there.
Do they lay out what the
Yeah, they have,
seeding maintenance is for any of the property, though?
No, but I'll
I know
add
he
in.
usually fertilizes always in the spring.
So, yeah, he's got a fertilization schedule in here.
so, all right, so if you do that, I would put, make sure that Chase Park is which it is, listed under spring and fall cleanup. There. And then we still have to have on there, you know, the timeline of, you know, the Friday prior, 1 week prior to
Memorial Day.
Memorial Day.
Mhm.
I'm just thinking, how many days is that?
It's gonna be random if it's the Friday 1 week prior, right?
Well, it's always, Memorial Day is always a Monday.
That's, is it?
Memorial Day weekend, yes.
Yeah.
But it's later, it's either later in the year or earlier in the year, depending on when it falls. But we always need it done, if they're starting in mid-April, it just needs to be done
For 8 days prior to Memorial Day or something like that. And then
Memorial Day weekend,
Memorial Day week.
the Saturday of Memorial Day weekend. I think that you need to maybe always call that out and say,
We say the weekend before Memorial Day weekend? Needs to be completed by the weekend before Memorial Day weekend, or the weekend prior to
That's what I'm
Memorial Day
saying, you say
weekend.
you completed 10 days prior to
Yeah.
Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Would be an option. I know, we're
We're running in circles.
so,
There's a whole nother
I know.
section under here, for that I was just reading, the fertilizer program, so if you go to page 4, so it defines what regular mowing is, it defines what brush and hedge maintenance is, what, fertilizer program, and we're already asking them to do a 4-step program for our athletic fields. It might just be as easy to say, do the same thing for the sloped area at, because maybe it's not lime that it needs.
But that's just fertilizer, it's not doing
Yeah, but
anything
it-
for
that-
seed.
I would just say, do the same thing at Chase Park, put fertilizer down and
Yeah,
grass and let it grow and.
all right,
With all the foot traffic, it's tough.
it is, and there's only so much that can be done, but at least it's something, and right now, we're getting almost nothing.
So what I was trying to get to earlier was, right, the section 1, the hell is my page? So, section 1C, where you go down to the following 15 properties. When we do, for Bolton Field, Bolton Playground doesn't get mowed. Bolton Playground just gets essentially weeded and brush hogged, so it doesn't need to be under the mowing section. It needs to be under the weeded, the edging, weeding, and mulching section.
Which you have, we just need to clean up that.
We need to clean up the fact that it's in 2 locations. It's the same sentence.
You have to
In
be
both
careful
locations.
that it's not put under the weeding and mulching section, which is E, is spring only. If you look at the top where it says 15 municipal properties,
Oh.
regular lawn care and maintenance, then go look at the definitions. What is the definition of cleanup?
I see what you're talking, yep.
So I think
I missed
we
that line.
have them in the right sections. We need to word them a little bit differently. And then we may just, again, want to move a piece for, because we have specific fall and spring cleanup. So we have fall and spring, we have regular maintenance like everybody else does, and then we have seeding and whatever care. So we'll move them around. I think we identified what we needed.
Yeah.
It's just putting them in the right place, changing radius to parameter. Make sure we have the, how many feet specific, and specify the number of days in advance for the Memorial Day piece. I think I can
Yeah, and we,
try
and
to
we
type
need,
this up and sit down with Naomi and say, okay, does this make sense
And
based on
escape-
what she heard?
and the skate park needs to be
Yeah.
added to the receive regular lawn care and maintenance. You gotta put
I
skate
added
park
that.
in there.
I added that on my notes.
And anything that just needs to be brush hogged with.
Yeah, yeah.
things like that. Right, so there's, once again, no question about including it.
Right.
Just wanna make sure we include it correctly.
Yeah.
The other thing is, this is an overall thing, just because I know based off of how you looked at this, is this gonna be, if, whatever whoever wins this, is there a way for them to be paid on a kind of a reverse bell, or an upside down bell, so they get more money in the beginning and more money at the end? Because obviously, if you start looking at all the outlays for bark mulch, all the outlays that these guys are doing for fertilizer and all the spring stuff to get it up, whether you give them more in the beginning and more at the end and say, okay, we're gonna give you 30% here and 30% here, and then
Yeah.
kinda,
I don't know, I don't know about that. but if
Yeah, it's
they
up to
come
the
back-
contract.
They're gonna come back and say, you know, we're gonna take care of this contract, and it's gonna be this amount of money for the year.
right,
I don't know.
but they're gonna say, okay, well, instead of saying dividing, but, you know, just as a nice thing to say, hey, look, we understand it's gonna cost you more in the beginning and the
Yeah.
end to get stuff done, that we're gonna, you know, cause it's what, April, November, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. Whether you say, okay, we're gonna make it, divide it, the total by 9, and we're gonna give you more in April and more in the end.
Yeah.
so that, you know, because obviously the capital outlay for bark mulch and all of that, we don't want to, hey, you want to make sure that these guys are not underwater.
Of course, yeah.
Doing is not underwater until, and not just do a straight division out.
Yep.
Would be, hey, help whoever's gonna win it out and say, hey, look.
So, I think that's it on the agenda. I just as a reminder, so we don't meet again until the third week of December. So that means, the gazebo decorating date is before our next meeting, so don't lose sight of that. And we meet again the 17th of December. And the lighting of the gazebo's the 14th, so we have two events before our next meeting, so this is the, sort of the final reminder. I'll send out an email reminder, but, just that we, particularly because the, public is getting involved in this, we
Yeah.
wanna have a good showing, I think, ourselves, so. All right, anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 9:24, just regular time.
A second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. We have it.
The ayes have it.